On February 15th, 2004, two police officers drove down a quiet street in a little English village called Murroe, and they pulled over in front of this little brick bungalow. A neighbor had called the police to report hearing a strange digging sound coming from inside of this bungalow. And so the two officers knocked on the front door. When nobody answered, one of the officers found it was unlocked. Both officers saw the entire first floor was flooded with several inches of water, and they could hear from somewhere in the back of the property the sound of running water. They could see there was an open door at the end of the hallway on the left, and it seemed like the running water sound was coming out of that room. They turned left, looked inside, and what they saw completely shocked them and immediately sprung them into action. 2 months before these officers came to this bungalow, the owner, 51-year-old Ronald McClegish, had broken up with his girlfriend. This breakup was really hard on Ronald. He had loads of health issues. Ronald fell into a very dark depression. But then finally, Ronald decided he wanted to get his life back together and just move on. First thing he was going to do, purge his bungalow of anything that was his ex-girlfriend's. And where most of her stuff was in this closet in one of the bedrooms at the end of the hall. He opened up the closet, and with a trash bag in hand, he began rifling through everything in this closet. When Ronald was almost done, the door to the closet he was in slammed shut. He could not open this closet again. And so Ronald began screaming for help and pounding on the door, but nobody came to help him. Ronald could only stand inside of this closet. Above him were a series of pipes across the ceiling. He reached up and he grabbed one of them and he broke it off. The pipe he broke was a water pipe, and as soon as it was broken, icy cold water began pouring down, but Ronald continued to use that pipe to both smash the walls to make loud sounds. He also began burrowing into the walls, trying to make a hole, but Ronald was getting weaker and weaker. His skin got so saturated that literally his skin started falling off. And so finally, after about a week of being trapped in this closet, he kind of slumped up against the wall and then closed his eyes. Ronald's neighbor, who called the police, actually did hear Ronald using that pipe, but she didn't know what they were when Ronald's house went from all these strange sounds to silence. That was when she called the police. And so when those two police officers arrived at Ronald's bungalow, they saw this huge wardrobe toppled over right in front of the closet. And at the bottom of the closet, they saw two human feet. And so the two police officers, they barely were able to get this wardrobe off of the closet door. Ronald was in there, he was deceased, and freezing water was still pouring down onto his head. It would turn out no one had intentionally trapped Ronald. Instead, his wardrobe was just unstable and it happened to topple over at the worst possible moment.